Did you know that you can push buildings with the Rage spell, or that you can fully counter a goblin barrel with just skeletons? I'm gonna give you 15 tips that almost no one knows. Tip number 1. You can activate your King Tower against Bowler with a Tesla. All you need to do is place your Tesla here, and the Bowler will hit the Tesla and activate the King Tower. Tip number 2. You can fully counter a goblin barrel with just skeletons. If you're using Cannoneer, place your skeletons here and they will fully counter a goblin barrel with just 1 elixir. Tip number 3. Placing your goblins on this tile allows you to get much more damage than from any other tile. The goblins did 720 damage, but when you place them on this tile, they do only 480 damage. That's a big difference. Tip number 4. You can make the bandit dash straight to the tower from the pocket. If the bandit is about to start dashing to a target and it gets destroyed, the bandit can dash straight to the tower, even when it's not in the normal dash range. Normally, the bandit needs to walk a little bit before it can dash to the tower. Tip number 5. You can activate the King Tower against Goblin Barrel with your Fisherman. You need to place the Fisherman here when you see the Goblin Barrel, and it should work. Tip number 6. If you predict that the enemy will place a building, you can use your Rage spell to push the building away so your troops will connect to the tower. Here is the same situation from the enemy's point of view. Tip number 7. The Battle Healer and the Royal Ghost don't take any damage from an earthquake. They can also just walk over the river. Tip number 8. You can activate your King Tower against Graveyard with a Tornado. This is very helpful because the King Tower helps to take out the future Graveyard skeletons. Tip number 9. By placing your Ice Spirit and Hog Rider like this, the Ice Spirit will push your Hog Rider out of the Tornado range, allowing your Hog Rider to do massive damage. Here you can see the same clip in slow motion. Tip number 10. You can place your Inferno Dragon like this to counter an Electro Giant. Make sure you don't place it too close, or the Electro Giant will constantly hit it. Tip number 11. Do not use Rage with the Executioner. It does basically nothing. You should rather save your elixir and find a better situation to use the Rage. Tip number 12. Many people don't know this, but you can still activate the King Tower against a one-shot Firecracker. Tip number 13. You can push the balloon with another air troop, so the balloon will avoid the building and go straight for the tower. This works well with the skeleton dragons and the bats. Here is the same situation without the skeleton dragons pushing the balloon. As you can see, the balloon will now go towards the cannon instead of the tower. Tip number 14. We all know that swarm cards are not good against Electro Giant. But when you combo them with an Ice Spirit, they actually do a much better job because the Electro Giant doesn't hit the skeletons when it's frozen. This way, you can fully counter the Electro Giant with just evolved skeletons and Ice Spirit. Tip number 15. If you place any spirit on this tile at the right timing, you can counter a Fire Spirit and still have your own spirit left with full hit points.